And you're actually featured in a museum that has...
Yeah, I'm in the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix, one of the biggest music instrument museums in the world. I didn't know this until
didn't even know?
No, didn't even know.
Welcome to the Epic Score Podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Shadid. My guest this week is Kevin Keith. Among his many talents, Kevin is a highly regarded Chapman Stick player. If you're not familiar with what a Chapman Stick is, it's a fascinating instrument where you tap the strings against a fretboard with both hands, and it can play both bass and melody at the same time. Curious? Well, he'll be performing for us, so stay tuned for that. We're returning to the Village recording studios for this interview because both Kevin and I have history there. And come on, it's just a cool place. I've included some of my own footage from 22 years ago at the Village. Anyway, Kevin's journey is full of twists and turns through the entertainment industry, and we're diving into all of it. And I'll see you here next week. My guest today is Kevin Keith. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey.
How you doing?
Real good, man. Thanks for having me.
Kevin is a multi-instrumentalist, a bass and guitar and piano, and most probably notably, Chapman Stick.
Yep.
And Kevin has been a tech engineer. We're going to get into that. And Kevin's a composer.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on here. I've known you for, it's over 25 years now.
Yeah, man. We got some history.
We have some history. And we are at the Village recording studio here in West LA.
Yeah.
And you and I actually have history here together, which your history is actually quite a bit more extensive than mine, which we'll get into. But the history of you and me here is 22 years ago. This is the studio I sampled my choir at, and you were my mix engineer.
That was 22 years ago?
22 years ago. It was 2004.
Wow.
And if I can find it, I believe I have some video from that day. We were in Studio D, the big Neve 88R, analog console, and you were the mix engineer on the console. And
I had hair back then.
You know, I may have had hair too.
Well, to check the archives.
Oh my gosh, this is so sad. I didn't know this was going to become a cry fest. All right, we're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff. I love your story. When I first wanted to do a podcast, honestly, your name was one of the first people on the list of stories I wanted to share about coming up. Let's start at the beginning. You started as a musician as a kid. Kevin from Tucson.
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona. How did it start?
My mom's really into music. She was like the girl in the neighborhood that had all the records and really kept up with music. So I fell in love with music at the age of 4. That was when I actually, believe it or not, made commitment that I was going to be a musician. And I told her I wanted to play guitar. And I think on my 8th birthday, I got my first guitar and started taking lessons.
And that worked you up to kind of the first big thing. You started traveling with a rock band.
It's kind of interesting. I started out playing guitar, switched to bass guitar at age 14 or 15, then took up double bass, bass violin, started classically trained, started playing piano. So I went on the road with the band. They liked it because I was a multi-instrumentalist and everybody in the band was a multi-instrumentalist. So we all would kind of trade instruments every few songs. That was kind of our big thing. Was on the road for just under 4 years, and band had a really nasty legal battle with the manager, and the whole thing kind of came apart. So at 23 years old, I left to go on the road when I was 19. At 23 years old, I came home broke. Well, actually not broke. I had $20. So at that point, I thought, okay, I don't do broke. I mean, not that I'm too proud. It's just both my parents worked very hard, and I just thought, well, you shouldn't have to be broke. So I thought, okay, I still want to be a musician, but I'm going to go back to college and study electronics. My brother was an aerospace engineer. I figured, okay, if I get a degree, maybe he can get me into some work. So I go back to college, study electronics. But when I got out, all my friends were musicians. So they're bringing me their broken stuff. So I started fixing, oh my God, guitar amplifiers, keyboards.
And then you got a job at an electronic shop that sort of had a funny slogan. What was their sort of motto?
Yes, the tape recorder clinic. The slogan was, they will fix anything that makes a sound. Yeah. I have worked on phone machines from the 1960s that had like 2 reel-to-reels inside. They're like twice the size of a car battery. It was nuts. I've worked on Teddy Ruxpin dolls. Just unbelievable stuff. There's a lot of retirees in Tucson, so you get a large mix of things.
But that actually allowed you to work on such a wide variety of things. You became sort of versatile.
Yes.
And I think you had something on your resume. What did you say on your resume?
Yes. I had tough time getting a job when I got out of college because you get caught in the catch-22 of, okay, you have good education but no experience. So I took the job at that place because they're the only ones that would hire me. So I told myself, all right, I'm going to write down everything I repair, the date, the whole thing. And I kept a log of all my repairs. This went on for about 7.5 years.
And what did your resume say?
When I moved to Los Angeles, my resume said that, electronic technician, I have over 10,000 documented repairs.
Just 10,000?
10,000.
Is that like the 10,000 hour rule or whatever it is?
Exactly.
Like you're a bona fide expert once you've done 10,000. Oh, I don't know what they say about that nonsense. But anyways, so you came to LA and you started looking for a job. You've got this resume that says this outlandish thing on it.
Yeah.
And one of the companies that you sent it to was
Neve.
Neve.
Yeah.
Who makes this console.
Yep. I've worked on a few of these.
I don't know if I mentioned, but we are at the Village. And we are in Studio A, and this is a Neve Flying Faders console.
Yep. Neve console. Yep.
And you have worked on this console?
Actually, yeah, I think I did some work on this particular console. There was another guy who worked on the majority of the time, but I think I did fader maintenance on this one. This was a long time ago.
But okay, so I want to talk about this Neve interview because
Yes.
There are times in this podcast I've said you've got to stick your neck out, you've got to take a chance. And
yes,
that works generally in the creative world to some extent, where you sort of take a chance to prove yourself. However, this interview you went on, there was no stick your neck out, take a chance, like take a wild shot at something. You walk into this interview, what happens?
I was on a road tour and just the traveling was too much. When I first got to LA, I got a concert tour gig. So I had a conversation with my wife, girlfriend at the time, this goes way back. And she said, when you get back to LA, make a list of the top 10 places you want to work, from the most to the least. So Neve was at the forefront because everybody respected Neve, as because of this. So she said, I get back to LA and we're talking on the phone. She says, okay, send a resume to Neve. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get a job with Neve. I mean, I work at a repair shop. There's guys who've been in studios forever. She's like, just put in the resume. We get in an argument about it. I'm like, okay, fine, you win. I put in a resume. And I put on the resume right at the top, Kevin Keith, I have 10,000, documented repairs. And I got a call back, which was amazing. So Neve calls me in and they say, hey, meet us at this location in West Los Angeles. So I go there, and it's this television station, and they're putting in a couple of Neve consoles, and the floors are open. There's thousands of wires coming out. I'm way over my head. I've never seen this level of tech. I'm like, oh my God. So they're like, okay, they give me the tour of the facility. It's like, okay, let's go back to the office. We get back to the Neve office, and he reaches into a box and he hands me a circuit board. He's like, what's this? And I'm looking at it, and in my mind, I'm like, I have no idea. But it's like, my mind's racing. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is unusual because I'm seeing audio circuitry, but at the same time I'm seeing circuitry that would drive motors. He's like, that's very good. He says, this is a fader controller. He says, fader, audio for the fader, the motor for the, to actually move. So it's like, oh, okay. Well, this kept going for, felt like eternity. He just keeps handing me circuit board after circuit board. What's this section do? What's that do? And then he goes to the manuals. He pulls out the manual, starts circling big sections. I realize now they handed me the most difficult things.
Basically, it's like, sir, what is this? Well, let's see. So there's no way to sort of BS your way through this interview.
No, it was not going to happen. It was unbelievable. So I'm going through this interview with John Musgrave was his name, still a good friend of mine to this day. He's in Nashville now, working on custom consoles. But at any rate, I'm going through all this, and I guess they just wanted to see my approach, but oddly enough, I got everything right, which was really weird. Very difficult.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You get the job?
It was 6 weeks and 5 interviews, and they hired me at Neve.
Wow.
That was a life-changing experience because the biggest of the big had Neves. All the big studios in film, television, music, all the big composers that were doing really well. Many of them had Neves at their homes. So, I'm assigned a certain product line and I'm covering this line. So I'm going to all these big sessions and you just end up meeting everyone.
And you ultimately became, what was it? Chief engineer of analog consoles. Was that what it was?
Yes.
Was that your title?
Yes,
correct?
I was the head of analog consoles for music and broadcast, and they also got me into digital consoles for at the time where they were just getting in. Digital was just happening on a large frame level, so they got me into the digital side.
You have some interesting experiences from your time at Neve, but one of the ones I remember from years ago was Paramount.
Yes.
And that was you had to do all kinds of. Tell us about what happened at Paramount.
Paramount Pictures, it was the scoring stage M. Doesn't exist anymore. But they wanted to do a major upgrade. Basically, I think the console was like 80 something faders. They wanted to blow it up to like 100. And they wanted to change out this entire center section. The center section was actually in stereo, and they were kind of breaking some rules to get it to work for film surround, but they actually wanted to put in a real life surround film section. So they shut down for about 10 days. I think I worked 109 hours that week. It was unbelievable. And I mean, the console, I somewhere I have this on videotape each day where, you know, it's everything's all the guts are out of the console. There's wires going everywhere. There's stuff all over the floor. And it's funny, you look at that now and I'm like, it's like, there's no way it's going to work.
They were going to do a Star Trek movie.
Yes.
Surround.
Yes.
And I think it was still the weekend right before. And those executives came in and they freaked out.
Yeah.
Because it was the weekend before the gig was supposed to start.
Yeah.
And they were like, what the hell? And you're like shooing executives out of their own scoring stage.
Yes. Yes. When it comes to that kind of stuff, you don't want to see how the sausage is made. You just don't want to know. So yeah, I think because of that, they're like, okay, well, the first session is a Paramount picture. It's Star Trek Insurrection. So you have to be here for all those sessions. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
I'm young, I'm confident. Plus we had, I had really good support between the factory and everything else. So yeah, we come in and they do the session. So that was wild.
All right. So Neve is an adventure.
Yeah.
There's a fair amount of travel, is there not?
I did a lot of travel. Went to South America and to Brazil 6 times in 1 year. Was going to Europe, London, to the factory. And Neve had a new music disc they were coming out with at the time called the 88R. And I was supposed to head that project up. And this was going into all the scoring stages throughout the world in the United States.
They have one here at the Village.
Yes. And Neve wanted me to head this up. Well, I knew it's like, man, I'm never going to be home. I'm going to be flying all the time. At that point, I've been with Neve probably right around 5 years. So I thought, it's time for me to graduate from Neve and start working at a facility. Because that's normally how it works when you work for a manufacturer. You normally get brought on by a client during an install.
So the next step is Telepictures.
Yes.
I got there, late 99, and they had committed to buying 2 Neves.
Yes. 2 of the Neve digital consoles for television. Yes.
And basically, instead of doing a service contract, they were able to hire you in-house. So you could do that, plus be an in-house tech engineer, right?
Yes. It was a big digital install. So I had assisted on the install. And it's kind of funny. With broadcast television, audio is always kind of like the black art. It's the thing that people know the least about. It's all about video and lighting. So they decided, hey, we need a guy who's been around this stuff to actually be on staff and manage it. That worked great for me. I didn't want to travel anymore at Neve. I lived literally 3 miles away from the facility. So yeah, I went through the interview process and got the job.
And that's how we met.
Yep.
We met at Telepictures.
Yep.
And we became fast friends. I was an audio music guy. I wasn't technical like you, but I had done my share of whatever mixing at that point. You were the hardcore tech guy. And we both wrote music on the side. And so we started talking about Digital Performer and we were, having a ball. So we just that's how we became fast friends. So you do the Telepictures job, and that became actually quite a rigorous job because now they actually had they had shoots at other locations, and you guys were doing setups and tech, and you guys were busy.
Yes.
All right, I left in 2006. You stayed for a while. Tell us how the next step of your life happened.
Telepictures was interesting in that I learned a lot of stuff on the technical side, hands-on, and I was able to mix. But in my run at Telepictures, that was kind of the heyday. And it was kind of cool that I was there than that. We created a bunch of shows that were huge. Tyra Banks, Steve Harvey, The Bachelor. God, I worked on the first 9 seasons of that. It was nuts. And I was mixing a bunch of bands too that had come in to be on an entertainment show they had.
Right. So let's clarify that for a second. The TV show Extra was bringing in big name music acts.
Yes.
And they were shooting and recording at Extra on the TV stage there.
Yes.
And you were the mix engineer for
Yes.
all of those bands.
It happened purely by accident. A producer came up to me one day and he says, "Hey, I hear that you're the audio expert in this facility. Is that true?" I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "I have a question. I want to bring a band in to perform live on the stage. Everyone says it can't be done. Is that true?" I'm like, "No, you can do it." He said, "What's involved?" I said, "Well, every band has got a technical guy or a road manager. You get me the name of the road manager. He and I'll have a conversation and let me know the day you want to do this. I'll put together all the details and manage for you." So the first one we do is Kenny G, and Kenny G comes in and it goes really well. So then other producers come and they're like, "Hey, so-and-so told me that you hooked him up with the Kenny G thing. I want to bring a band too." Okay, I give him the same process. That band comes in, does really well. So by the third act, I think the third act was like Lionel Richie. And they said, "Hey, I want to bring Lionel Richie in, but he doesn't have a mix engineer for this. Normally when he goes to do a show, there's an in-house engineer. Do you know anyone?" He said, "We don't really have budget for this. Do you know anyone who can just mix this for television?" I said, "Yeah, I can do it." So he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he says, "Okay, great, you're on." And he leaves the room and it dawns on me, you just signed up to mix Lionel Richie and his band.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that was pretty scary. So Lionel comes in, he and I shoot went really well. He and I hit it off. Well, to the point to where we had conversations about me mixing one of his records. It turned out I didn't have enough experience, so it became between me and another guy. Of course, the other guy got the gig, who's more qualified. After that, I mixed Tyrese and a couple other acts, and the producers get a phone call from Clive Davis. And that, I don't know if I ever told you that. I think I did.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm fascinated.
The producers get a call from Clive Davis, and they're like, "Hey, who mixed, Tyrese and this and this and this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Kevin, the maintenance guy." They're like, so he says, "These are some of the best mixes I've ever heard in television." So at that point, I own it. They're telling me, "We want to bring in all these bands." So we did 150 major label bands. Everybody from, oh my God, Seal, Taylor Swift came in. She was 19 years old. That was a trip. I think I still have some guitar picks that she dropped on the stage. But yeah, I mixed a ton of bands. It was an unbelievable experience. Through that, one of the bands hired me to mix a record. So yeah, that was a run.
That is such an awesome story. I love that. It's so cool. And in 2004, I asked you to be my mix engineer here at the Village. I decided to sample a choir. I just felt like I needed it for the kind of music that I was getting into writing. And it was a tool that I really wanted. And I was curious. I didn't have a ton of sampling experience. And I settled on the Village. You found a choir that was, willing to do the gig. I wanted to use the Neve 88R, the big, almost $750,000 million analog console, and incredible. And I asked you to be my mix engineer, and I think that was your first time on a Neve 88R.
First time on an 88R.
Yeah. And we had the best time, and I remember actually there's one as the women got higher and higher and higher, their tones, their volume just kept getting more and more intense.
Yeah.
And I remember this, it was one of the top notes, and the previous note just wasn't that intense, the board. And I remember they went on that one note, and I just watched all those meters went straight to the top, and you leapt out of your chair.
Yes.
But we all listened. I was running the Pro Tools rig.
Yep.
You're at the console.
Yep.
And you leapt out of your chair, but it didn't distort.
Nope.
It took it. It handled it.
Yep.
And you didn't touch anything. Your hands were like this, and then it was like,
It's like,
it can do it. It was such an awesome moment in so many ways. Just the board proved what an incredible piece of tech it was. And you were there, just like you were right on top of it. Yeah. And I'm sitting at the Pro Tools rig, because the Pro Tools rig is like perpendicular 90 degrees. So I have to, I'm craning my neck like that to look. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened to the console? It was just one of those weird those women were just so powerful.
Yes.
And we just had so much fun that day. So
yeah, that was a great experience. Yeah, console lit up like a Christmas tree. That was something else.
On those high notes. And then, we went to other high notes, later with some of the other things that we were, recording. And it was like, yeah, the board's got it. It's cool. It's cool. It's like those meters are up there. And we did playback, out of Pro Tools, like, hey, is this cool? And it was absolutely clean. It was just such an awesome experience. Such an awesome experience. Yeah, such an awesome experience. So your time at Telepictures is coming to an end.
Yeah.
How did this transition from Telepictures to the next thing happen?
A buddy of mine from Neve, one of the guys that worked in sales in New York, contacted me out of the blue. Michael Mueller.
Ah, I know Michael Mueller.
Yeah, Michael Mueller.
He was the sales guy for AMS Neve.
Yep.
In 1994, he was the one who sold the AMS audiophile Neve Logic 3 to Soundwave in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
So I knew Michael. That's...
Yeah.
Okay, so Michael Mueller. Okay, I'm sorry. Wow.
Michael calls me and says, hey.
Blast. That is...
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, man. Michael calls me and he says, hey, man, we haven't talked in a while. I'd like to come by and say hi to you. I want to bring some friends with me. I'm like, yeah, man, sounds great. Love to see you. So Michael comes by. He's got some guys with him. There's guys with a big console manufacturer, digital console manufacturer called Lavo. Unbelievable product line. And, we're hanging out and we're in the audio booth and we're talking. And I'm kind of giving them a tour through the audio stuff. And they tell me, hey, total disclosure, we didn't just come by to say hi. We want to offer you a job or let you know of a job that's coming up.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay.
I mean, you're not even looking for a job. It's not like you had a resume or a headhunter or anything like that.
No. Yeah, just came by and he said, there's an opportunity that's coming up and we threw your name in the hat. He says there's a number of people that have thrown your name in the hat.
A number of people recommended you for this unknown job that they have not announced to you.
Yes, from the stories I've been told, yes.
And you're like, who is this magical place?
Exactly.
Who was the magical place?
Google YouTube. Yes.
Okay. All right. What was the job?
YouTube had opened a 40,000 square foot broadcast facility. Unbelievable place. Basically, Google had made the decision that, you know what? YouTube is becoming such a big thing. We want to have our own facility and we're going to start, they call them YouTube spaces. We're going to make them all over the world. So at the time there were three, one in Los Angeles, one in London, one in New York. LA was a flagship. It was unbelievable. There were 10 surround sound editing rooms, a surround sound recording studio, movie theater, 3 large stages, Foley stage, unbelievable facility. Google likes to build facilities in unusual type buildings. So they actually took an old Howard Hughes aircraft hangar where they used to build planes over in West LA.
And the craziest thing about that facility was you didn't pay to use it.
No.
What were the stipulations?
You had to be a YouTuber, and at the time you had to have at least 10,000 subscribers.
So 10,000 subscribers, you can come and use a premier production facility.
Yes.
Full digital, the latest cameras, the latest stage tech, the latest everything for free.
For free.
Come in, make cool YouTube content.
Yes. Cameras, lights. I mean, even beyond that, they had drums, guitars, basses, amplifiers, anything you could imagine. It was an unbelievable facility.
Unbelievable. So you get presented with this job. It's quite a bit of a lot longer drive for you.
Yeah. That commute was no joke.
No.
It was worth it.
So you start doing that job, and I think it was significantly a big pay bump from the previous job. And so you're at YouTube. Yes. I talked to you all the time when you were there. You loved that job.
Yes.
But there was one thing about it that was kind of nagging you a little bit, that kind of bugged you.
Google being a tech company, they decided that anybody who was on the production side that dealt with audio, video, light, sound, they would be contractors. So we were never Googlers, which we all made peace with because it was such a great opportunity. But it's always nice to be able to get that step, and it kind of, of being an actual full bird employee. You're
doing that job for a few years.
Yeah, about 2.5 years. Almost 3.
And then one day the phone rings.
Yes. I get contacted and they said, hey, we'd like to have a conversation with you. I'm like, cool, I like to talk.
And of course, I'm sure you're like, who's it for?
Yeah, we have an opportunity. I said, okay, who's this with? They're like, well, we can't tell you. Okay. And that to me said, okay, this must be something serious. So like we You have to sign non-disclosure agreements.
So just to come in and have the conversation, you have to sign an NDA.
Yes.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Yes.
So you go into this conversation.
Yes.
Who's it for?
Well, when I got the NDAs had the company logo on it, and it was Apple. So it was like, Apple computer.
We go from Telepictures to YouTube to
Apple. Yes. I thought it was a mistake at the time. I contacted them back and said, hey, I think you've made a mistake. I'm a production audio engineer. I'm not a software audio engineer. They're like, no, we know what you are. And I was like, but you don't do anything in production. Oh, okay. They're like, yes, we're getting ready to.
And Apple offered you everything.
Apple wanted someone that would be a full bird employee from day one. And it was, huge opportunity.
I mean, we're talking, full staff, full benefits, everything. They made you part of the Apple family.
Yes.
And that's hard to,
Yes.
It's hard to turn yourself away from, I mean.
Absolutely. And it was an extraordinarily exciting time because that was when Apple Music was just launching. This was right around 2015. And Trent Reznor's on board, Dr. Dre's on board, artist radio shows where people like Elton John, Q-Tip, the creative director, Zane Lowe, brilliant guy, just overall music knowledge. It was an unbelievable talent pool.
And they brought you in to design some of those production facilities, is that correct?
Yes, they needed someone who could actually come in and start designing recording rooms. It was radio, which was interesting because I asked them, I said, well, I've been in film, I've been in television, I've been in music, I've been in post. I've never done radio. Why are you interested in me in radio? They're like, well, we have a big picture idea. So we figured it would be easier to bring on someone who had all that experience and transition them into radio. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So Apple Music begins and we start the design of the radio facilities. And that was, we had a guy that came in who already laid out the radio stuff, but the record side hadn't been designed. So I headed up that project. We started building that out. It was a lot of work, a lot of hours, but it was an incredible experience.
So you're with Apple, things are going great.
Yes.
And then there's a speed bump.
My health, something was a little bit off, and I just figured, okay, I've been putting in a lot of hours. Long story short, I ended up going to a doctor and got diagnosed with cancer. So they said, hey, you caught it early, but you're going to have a major procedure. You're going to be out for a few months.
And you're at Apple. Were they supportive?
Apple was unbelievable. Like, after I got diagnosed, this is funny. After I got diagnosed with cancer, I get this phone call, like, the next day. And it's like, hey, this is so-and-so from Apple Computer, whatever division. Is this Kevin Keith? Yes. Can you verify this? Yes, verify it all. It's like, we've been informed that you've been diagnosed with cancer. So at Apple, when you've been diagnosed with cancer, it kicks in this extra tier of benefits, which was unbelievable. So Apple really stepped in. So I went through the procedure, but had a number of things happening at that point in my life. Actually, 3 big things that really changed me. A few years prior, I had lost my father, which was huge. Me and my wife had adopted our nephew, having a kid. I just wanted to be around. I was working a lot of hours and I had cancer. So at that point I thought, they can put you back together and you can run back in the game, but it's time to do something different. It's time to make a shift.
And what was that shift?
That shift was, okay, this is crazy. This is typical me. Me and my wife have the conversation and we decide, all right, we're going to leave Los Angeles. And we always thought we would live in Seattle, but it's so humid in Seattle. We both kind of have problems and just low-level arthritis.
You're Kevin from Tucson.
Yeah, exactly. I'm used to dry air. I love Seattle. Oh my God, I was heartbroken that I just couldn't do that. So my wife came up one day and she says, hey, how about Reno, Nevada? Because I want to be West. We both love the West. So it's like, I never thought about Northern Nevada. All right, so we go to Northern Nevada. I leave my killer job at Apple after, coming out of the cancer thing. And we moved to Reno, Nevada, where we know no one.
You've had this multi-decade career now.
Yes.
You've been a musician.
Yeah.
You've been a tech
Yeah.
at various different places, and you're very respected in that. But there was one career, I think, through all of this that you sort of wished that you had, that you never really had the opportunity to do.
Yes.
And ironically, you leave LA, the center of all of this stuff, go to Reno, Nevada. What was this job you wanted, and what happened in Reno?
I wanted to be a full-time composer. I had a production deal with Warner Brothers to write music for television when I was in LA. And that was great, but it wasn't full-time. And it was really difficult because, being in the technical department at Telepictures and Warner Brothers, those are 50 to 60, 70-hour-a-week jobs. So then after that, you're going home and you're writing in wee hours. And I really want to be a full-time composer. Plus, in my time of being on the road, when I was on concert tours, it's kind of funny. If you haven't been around the major music industry, you go to a concert and you think, oh, these guys got it made. But man, there's a rat race in that game as well. You're away from home. It's really, it's exhausting, the amount of travel. At one point, we'd done 29 cities in 30 days. I guess what I'm saying in a long-winded way is I realized even in the music business, you have to be careful what you get good at. And when I was working with Neve, I started meeting guys that were composers. Like I was sent on some service calls where the majority of the service calls I was at were like places like this, huge facilities. But every now and then I'd get a place that was a residential address. And I'd go there and it'd be some house in the hills. And the guy's got like giant Neve console in his living room, with windows overlooking views of Hollywood Hills. And it's like, who is this guy? And they're like, oh, he writes for these films. He does that. So I thought, I need to get into composition. I need to seriously get into composition. But I couldn't do it full time in LA.
And you were in a position at that point, almost semi-retired. Like I recall you went to Reno going, hey, I only need to make kind of a very modest amount of money. And I think you were even thinking that you would just do it through sort of almost part-time tech work. That's kind of all you needed, right?
Yes. My original thought when we went to Reno was that, okay, there's a lot of casinos in Reno. And I figured that, there's concerts coming through, there's tons of events there. So I'm like, okay, I'll do event staff. Well, event staff is long hours and weekends and nights. Well, that was a whole thing I wanted to get away from. So it's like, okay, I can't do that. And then I see this advertisement for a job on the web, and it's like, you need audio engineering experience. You must play multiple instruments. You have to be able to write music in multiple genres. And it's a local job in Reno. And I'm like, you're kidding, right? And it's like, well, who's this for? Well, there are companies in Reno that make games and slot machines, like tons of them. I didn't know that. There's probably like a half a dozen companies in Reno that do this. So I interview and I end up getting the job, and I'm a full-time composer. I had to leave LA to become a full-time composer. So now I'm in Reno and I'm doing the games, I'm doing slot machines, and I'm still writing for the Warner Brothers library. And at that point, Warner Brothers there had been some kind of deal they cut with Universal. So Universal Music started using that music as well. So then I started doing work with Universal.
So you leave LA kind of thinking the large part of your career is just done and sort of over, and you're looking to chill things out. You go to Reno and you become a full-time composer. I love the irony of that. The irony of that just never gets lost on me. I love that.
I love it too.
So much. Throughout all of this, again, you've been a musician. There's one instrument that has been near and dear to your heart through this whole multi-decade, and that is
Chapman Stick.
How did you even find out about it?
I was 18 years old and I walked into a music store in Tucson, and they had one of the first generation sticks hanging on the wall. And I see this giant fretboard and I'm like, what in the world is that? And they're like, it's a Chapman Stick. I'm like, don't know what that means.
I don't know what that is.
And they're like, yeah, it's this cool instrument. And the guy at the store doesn't really understand much about it. I think you play it and you cross your hands and you touch. I thought, wow, this is weird. He says, you know what? I don't really know. He said, but here's a phone number of a guy you can call, and he knows about this and he can probably get you some instructional material. So I'm like, okay. So I call this number, guy answers the phone, and the guy's totally switched on, knows all about stick. And he's telling me all this stuff. I'm like, well, I really appreciate your help. I said, do you play stick? He says, I'm Emmett Chapman. I'm the inventor of the stick.
Oh my gosh.
So I meet Emmett at 18 years old, and I had a couple of Fender Telecasters, because I play guitar as well, so that I traded, and I got my first stick. I didn't have any money back then, so everything was like barter. So I get my first stick, and because I thought, okay, I play bass guitar, I play keyboard. This should be a snap, and I was wrong. It's a completely different animal. I really struggled with it, and I started trying to play it on stage on the road, but I just Didn't have any success. And about 3.5 years in, it ended up getting stolen when I was on the road.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, instruments like this, you can't just go to the next store and grab. So I always thought, okay, one day I'll get another one. Well, years went by. And when I was in LA, I thought, you know what? I want to get another stick. Emmett lives in LA. Stick Enterprises, where they build them, is in LA. So me and Emmett reunite. We meet in person for the first time. And I get a stick and I start playing it. I start practicing and working, and I got a band and I'm playing through Hollywood. But I'm just learning how to play this thing. I mean, I'm at like an intermediate level, which is fine if you're not in LA. LA is not the place you go to learn how to play an instrument. LA is not the place you go to find yourself creatively. You figure out what you are creatively, wherever you come from. And when you get to LA, you come there to monetize it. So I'm doing gigs in clubs, but it's really, really stressful because, you know, these are gigs where the biggest musicians in the world play. So, and between Apple and other jobs, I ended up putting Stick down a little bit because I just didn't have the time to properly invest in it until the Reno years. Because I thought, well, you know, Reno, it'll give me a chance to get back into this. Reno's a safe space to learn an instrument, and not, if you're not amazing, that's okay. If I'm on a gig in Reno and I make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Whereas in LA, it's the stick capital of the world. It's one of the music capitals of the world. It's just not the place to do that.
And you're actually featured in a museum that has...
Yeah, I'm in the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix, one of the biggest music instrument museums in the world. I didn't know this until
didn't even know?
No, didn't even know. I had a buddy of mine from high school text me, and you know, he and I have a kind of a funny relationship. We're always kind of joking with each other. So he sends me a text out of the blue. He says, "Hey, I saw you in a museum." When I text him back, I said, "I saw you in the zoo." Because I figured he's just being silly. And he's like, he texts me back, "No, you idiot, you're in a museum." And he sends me a picture, and it's a picture of this beautiful Chapman Stick display in a museum, and there's a big video screen, and on the screen is me playing. I know nothing about this. I'm like, wow, I'm in this museum. So I reach out to Emmett, and he says, yeah, I put you, myself, Bob Culbertson, great player, Steve Adelson, amazing jazz player in New York, Emmett and myself are in this museum, and I am completely blown away. And Emmett said, you know, I really liked your style, and I really feel like what you're doing is really innovative, and I wanted to make sure that was included in the content in the museum. And there's, yeah, it was a trip. My mom starts getting calls. Your son's in a museum. My brother's getting calls. For my mom's, I think it was like her 88th birthday, we all met in Phoenix, and me and Mom and the whole family got to experience the exhibit for the first time. It was really surreal. And there's, you know, in museums, they have the little documentation there, and it says what it is. And in the documentation, it's my name and the pieces I'm playing. So it was a trip.
So you actually do some live gigging around Tahoe, Reno area, is that correct?
Yes. Being at Apple Music got me back up to speed with what current music is doing, because every day you're sitting listening to new music, and that was a great experience. And I'm meeting all these different musicians, I'm meeting all these people. So I knew when I went to Reno, I want to start playing again, but I want to do something different. I originally saw myself as a bass player. That was my primary instrument for most of my life. But when I moved to Los Angeles, there's so many bass players. I thought, you know what? I need my own voice. I need a different something. And that was a stick. So when I went to Reno, I started picking up the stick again, and I decided, okay, I want to do a big looping thing where I'm playing all 4 or 5 of my instruments on stage, where I'm actually building compositions in real time, looping each one. So I thought, okay, you're gonna have to take this real slow. So for the first year or so, I'm just doing gigs with just stick and drums backing track. And then it's like, okay, I feel comfortable with that. Now let's add a keyboard. So then I add a keyboard, and then I'm going back and forth between the keyboard and the stick. Fast forward to the future, I'm doing 5 instruments: stick, bass guitar, bass violin, guitar, singing, and keyboards. So yeah, I'm doing this whole looping extravaganza.
And you're building your presence on YouTube with your channel now. It seems to have had this kind of big tick up in recent times. And
Yes. 1 million views in the last 6 months. Which has been mind-boggling. Because, you know, YouTube, I first put out my first videos, it's like I might get 2 views. you know. So actually, no, I can't really say that. My first video out did pretty well, and that was what really got me into YouTube. I just saw the power of the platform, and at the same time, I was working for the facility. But yeah, it was years later before I was able to actually do it myself.
And you're going to play for us a little bit today.
Yeah.
I want to hear what this thing can do. I mean, I know what it can do. No, I want you to play for us and
absolutely
show us what this thing can do.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Thank you for playing for us. That was fantastic. That instrument is so soulful at times, but it has another side.
Oh, yeah.
You can move pretty quick on this thing, and it's mind-boggling to actually listen to that it's all coming from a single instrument.
Yeah.
Can you show us a little bit of that?
We got here.
Fantastic. I want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been
thank
such
you.
a privilege to be your friend and watch you go on this journey. Here we are all these years later back in this studio. It's incredible. And, we don't live near each other anymore.
No.
So you flew in for this
Yeah.
just to do this. And I appreciate that so much. And I am so happy to share your story. And I hope people can gain inspiration from it. So thank you.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you, man. I mean, we go way back. You were the first composer that approached me and said, hey, man, you write, I write, we should talk. And I'm like, wow, because a lot of guys don't do that. So, man, I can't thank you enough.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it has.
Thank you.